welcome to Radio Sensation. I'm your host, Dan, and I have just done a video where I just showed what was in a typical box of comics that I had brought from my storage and was going to be going through and sorting. And, you know, I just filmed it. I don't know how people are going to react to it, but I thought I would do the same thing. I also have a box here that turned out to be mostly horror magazines. So I figured I would do the same with this, see if people are interested in just seeing me flip through and show off what I've got. Now, most of the box was Fangoria's and Film Facts. And those are both kind of famous enough. I don't think anybody would go like, ooh. But, so these are some of the other things that were in the box. This, you know, in one of my other videos, I just did a video all about an issue of Deep Red, which is a fanzine I thought I had sold all my copies of at one point a long time back. And I definitely sold the books that I had, Gore Score and stuff like that. But I guess I at least I didn't sell all my Deep Reds, because now I've just come across the second one. It might turn out that I didn't sell any of the magazines and I might still have them all. But in any case, here's another issue of Deep Red. You know, it's, you know, famously got a nice list of other fanzines that were being produced at the time. Steve Bissett, you know, famous comic book artist for like the Swamp Thing and stuff. You know, he's a big movie buff. You know, check out he's done a ton of reviews and articles for Tim Paxton's great Monster fanzine magazine, whatever you want to call it, that the latest incarnation is available through print on demand on Amazon. So there's got that, slasher news, you know, just fun stuff. Do I not have the... So, anyway, there's Deep Red. Okay, this is Toxic Horror. This is Starlog. So, is that what it is? Yes, this is Starlog. So, this is one of those cases where Starlog, of course, also had Fangoria, and they were getting some other companies publishing horror magazines that looked very similar to Fangoria, because for a brief time, you know, they were really selling heavy. And so, like, it was kind of like what Marvel would do, or what Warren or any of the publishers would do when they saw somebody doing something that they thought was encroaching on their territory. They would try and become their own competition and force the other guys off the newsstand. So I don't think this lasted too many issues. They tried to make some of these things seem a little different from each other, so it didn't just seem like another version of Fangoria, but I'm not really sure what the particulars of this one were. Here's a little rundown. Well, there's a thing about people collecting John Wayne Gacy, his artwork that he would sell from prison. But this is a little article on some horror comics. There's Corbin's Vic and Blood, based on the Harlan Ellison A Boy and His Dog short novella. Tales Too Terrible to Tell, which I should probably do something about. I was looking through those the other day. I came across a bunch of my issues. It is, in some ways, not nearly as good as I remembered, but still a lot of fun. So I should go through that a little bit, because I don't think many people know about that. And even though these are pretty old at this point, they were pretty much a history of pre-code horror comics, with some of them reprinted, and unfortunately some people trying to recreate them, which to much lesser success. But that's an interesting comic. But here's you know, they have something on Rex Miller's Chain Gang. And, you know, I don't remember reading the comic. I'm quite familiar with his, the paperbacks that's from, but So it's a bunch of book reviews. And of course, at the time, paperback horror stuff was huge. So to have this articles, that makes sense. Frankenstein Unbound. That did not play where I lived in Pennsylvania. And when I finally caught up with it, I did not miss a classic. It's too bad. It's an interesting movie, but it's not great. Portrait of Psychos and Killers. I'm not crazy about this. They all look way too similar. I don't know who that artist is. A Salute to Cannibal Pictures. Okay, I'm taking longer than I was going to on this. Everyone's favorite Scream Queen of the time, thanks to Return of the Living Dead. Here's more stuff. There's a lot of serial killer stuff in here. That was a big thing at one point because serial killer books were selling so well. And I admit, I bought some of those books. But I didn't really think it needed to be with, you know, horror movie stuff was different than serial killer stuff to me. So, not really a lot of need to do the two things together. Wow, it's pretty long, too. Spiraling into Hell. Exploding Heads. Scanners 2 offers more of the stuff you love. It's not, except not a good movie. Okay. Ilsa, We Hardly Knew You. Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS. Sexploitation movie with, did have violence in it, so I guess it could fit in a horror mag. But, you know, concentration camps, you know, that's not as fun as it sounds. But, you know, quite frankly, they're goofy enough. I can't watch them too often, but the Ilsa, the Tigress of Siberia, that's a really fun one and not nearly as over the top. That's a great one. That's the Church of the Subgenius video. I have that around somewhere. As Seen on TV, which of course you hadn't. So this Church of the Subgenius is fun. I have some of their magazines and books. And there's some of the books. I highly recommend these. This is kind of obviously way out of date. It was about where to send for fanzines and obscure magazines through the mail. So that's Toxic Horror. This is a local, this was a Baltimore fanzine, Midnight Marquee. They just put out an issue last year, I guess. So they've been publishing for decades and decades. You know, although they would occasionally do stuff about modern films, and Gary, the editor, tried to stay on top of modern stuff. The fanzine is mostly older titles. Well, here's one about Halloween. And Halloween was, this is fall 1982, so that was reasonably new at the time, so there you go. But most of the stuff you see is not. There's book reviews. If you have never seen an issue of Midnight Marquee, I would suggest you you might want to track one down. A lot of conventions have dealers selling old issues. Boy, I did not remember this magazine at all. Incredible premiere issue science fiction. So I think the magazine is yeah, the name of the magazine is Incredible Science Fiction. This was from 1978. So it's from 1978. The Manitou was I had enjoyed the book, and I was really looking forward to the movie. There's a giant poster in here too, which I never took out, of course. 5 Million Miles to Earth. By this time, it had already been covered many, many times. I don't know what's up with this goofy, dumb layout. There's the Manitou. Very little, you know, it's mostly pictures and not especially well laid out. Now, mind you, if I had put this together at the time, I might be proud of what it is, but here it is. But I don't know that this is anything to track down. What was the covering? What was the? I'm not sure what the poster is of. Is it 5 million miles to Earth? No, it's the Manitou. No, wait a minute. Huh. I'm not sure what that is. There's Rick, article about Rick Baker talking about his ape suits and stuff. Feature from the back again. Wendy Pini. Oh, that's I think the poster must be a Wendy Pini artwork. That's what it looked like. Wendy Pini, of course, is she was a longtime sci-fi fan, but she she's most famous for the magazine she and her husband did, ElfQuest. There, of course, is the Invasion of the Scream Queens. This is a little book, a little self-published book. Donald Farmer and Bill George. Everyone's favorite Scream Queen writes the introduction. And then there's, it just runs down through a bunch of Scream Queens, or, you know, some of whom are more famous than others. There's Camille Keaton, the Spider Sisters. So, yeah, gore and ladies' boobies. So, I would not call Mary a Scream Queen, but was in a ton of great movies. The things that she and Paul Bartel did together are standouts. Sadism and the Scream Queen. So more Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS. And then some torture films. So, Invasion of the Scream Queens. You know, horror fan. GCR Publishing. So I don't know who that is. Here's another Scream Queen. Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, which got, thanks to these great publicity photos, got so much publicity, got printed so much. This, I don't really remember this magazine at all. I don't know how many issues were done at this. There's the Horror Show, which was Gunnar Hausen, Jack Arnold. These are very, very much, The Gate 2. This was real. I remember this being really disappointing when it came out. I think that there's something with the rights to this, and that's why it doesn't. I mean, aside from the fact that it's not as good as The Gate #1, it's not nearly seen as often. But it had some interesting stuff. I should try and check it out again. It's been so long since I've seen it. There's Richard Lynch, Leviathan, which was part of the trio of underwater horror films that just suddenly seemed to come out at the same time. Gimmicks for horror films, reviews, an interview with Anne Rice. Really, is that it? Well, no. It says continue to page 48, so. I, Madman. Reviews of paperbacks. An interview with Fred Olin Ray. Robot Jocks. Rides Again. Empire. So, yeah. Headhunter. Yeah, I'm trying to remember that one. I don't really remember it. Toxic Horror, that's another one. I meant to put the ones together that were like, so there's another one from Fangoria's stable of horror mags. Again, once again, that kind of like the early Bob Martin issues of Fangoria, where there was somewhat related pop culture. Here's an article with Hazel Atkins. Listen to something by Hazel Atkins on YouTube or something. It is the most primitive rock and roll, rockabilly kind of stuff you can imagine. Norton Records, the great Norton Records, released several of his on vinyl and then CD. That stuff, he's still available. Just insane. Just insane stuff to listen to. James McNaughton. This thing about the borrower, I would really like to, it'd be great if we could find out what the borrower would have looked like if they had let John have his final cut, if they hadn't, his budget hadn't run out. I mean, it's a fun movie, but boy, coming after Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, really, it probably can't help but disappoint. Slasher articles on some of the current state of the slasher films. Not much really of any kind of articles, mostly just photographs, which, here's horror comics. So Faust, there's some of those early reissues, the pre-code horror comics. There's Aliens. And of course, Xenozonic Tales by Schultz, if you're a dinosaur fan. Yeah. Frank Heinenlotter, is that how you say his last name? Articles on him. The Booger Man. See, that's I remember this. They thought they were, so funny. Japanese shot on video horror films. Here's this is an article on Joe Coleman when he was famous for his onstage antics more than his artwork. He was doing performance art, and he would do things like strap explosives to his chest and set him off. And this is for the rodent killer thing. For blowing up some mice as part of his act. I'm mostly into him for his art, which you can see here is pretty famous, fabulous. Check out my article on, I did a little thing on some lowbrow art, as they were calling it at one point. And there's some stuff about his artwork in there. Oh, and here's, remember I was talking about Norton Records? Well, Miriam Lina, this is, she was famously not just into 50s rock and roll, but also the sleazy paperbacks of the time. And here's the JD, Juvenile Delinquent books. Some good stuff there. Always great to see these great covers reprinted. Nice and flashy color. It's always nice to read something by. And more, like I said, the paperbacks were really going strong at the time. That market would eventually die, but it was still going strong then. This is Marvel Magazine. This was their attempt to get on the sales of Famous Monsters. You know, the thing is, Famous Monsters only had good sales for a certain amount of time, and then everybody was fighting over nothing. You know, these things came and went in waves. So, you know, none of the other magazines lasted near as long as Famous Monsters. And Famous Monsters, you know, was not. Certainly, I had outgrown it long before it stopped printing. An article about the horror Dracula, which even at the time was pretty. And again, you know, I don't know how many of these photographs you really need to see. You know, but it fills up pages, right? In those days before videotape, you take what you can get. All right, I'm not going to flip through that whole thing. Peter Cushing. Love him. Damn, I don't remember this being that long. I've not seen this in a long time. Now I see why I don't remember this one that well, because I probably didn't pull it out very often. Letters page. Yeah, this whole issue was Horror of Dracula. Wow. 150 all new, never before published photos. Well, not all the photos are new, and a lot of them are just screenshots that weren't very exciting to me. Boy, that was one of the last issues too. This is that was issue number 7. This is issue number 5 of the magazine, and it's a special Godzilla issue. Great cover there. Great cover. You know, this is Bob Larkin, who did a lot. You know, he didn't do. You know, I don't know how much interior work he did for any comics or anything. I don't know if he did any, but he did a lot of covers for magazines, comics. You know, just a fantastic artist. This is a great cover there. I mean, the proportions seem a little whack, but that's pretty fun. Those are fun colors. I like it. Okay, so here's the article on Godzilla. This was back when there still wasn't a ton of stuff being done. That has a little more writing than that Horror Dracula pages do. Monster Scope was their things to come kind of thing. Todd Slaughter, a British actor who they would say is like the British version of, you know, I don't know who's, you know, he was just a horror guy. I guess Vincent Price, he was supposed to, you know, might be comparable, but he was earlier than Price. He was a contemporary of Boris Karloff. I've seen a couple of his things. You know, the movies are pretty creaky and stuff, and they don't have any monsters, so I wasn't, you know, it wasn't really my thing. The Golden Days of Frankenstein. It's Elsa Lancaster being interviewed. I'm sorry, the bridge is out. You'll have to spend the night. This is this was one of those nudie cutie things. Movies, I believe. Is it from the movie or is this from some? Yeah, I think this is from the movie. Yeah, it's a nudie cutie thing. Scantily clad women and monsters. The Vampires of Radio. That's an interesting article. But Monster Masquerade. Hunting Dinosaurs for Fun, if not for profit. Just kind of a little bit of a lame article. Frankenstein's New Monster from Hell. A little article on the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Oh, that's from a Mexican film where that's the shoddy Creature from the Black Lagoon outfit they have. Jeez Louise, that's lame. This was put out when De Laurentiis' King Kong came out. Not that great. I bought it because King Kong is my favorite film of all time, or at least I've seen it more than any other. There might be some other ones that you know, I have since grown to love as much, but there's no movie I love more. It's not bad. The stuff on the original King Kong is pretty good. I don't know that there was anything really that new in this issue, but this was worth having. There's the Son of Kong, and then there's just a little bit on the Japanese King Kong movies, King Kong vs. Godzilla, and King Kong Escapes. And then it goes to the Dia de Laurentiis. This is Gore Zone. Who did Gore Zone? This is the other one, done also by Starlog. So, like I said, they were trying to be their own competition. I don't know how that worked out for them. And the big thing about this was, you were supposed to be buying it for the big. You unfold this, and there's two double-sided posters for you to hang up. Because Fangoria used to have a fold-out poster in the front of the thing, and people would go like, oh, I don't want to ruin my magazine to hang this up. And so this magazine comes out, and it's got posters. That's, you know, there's not that much, there's not that many pages. It's mostly the posters. You know, I don't know that there's any real big difference between the articles in this and the ones in Toxic or Fangoria. There's Zombies, a post-modernist viewpoint. Teachers from Hell. There's the lovely Pam Grier. So this is from the class of 1999. Article on a special effects artists, a makeup artist. How'd they do that makeup thing? Death by Temptation article. Mind Warp. I'm not going to go through all this. An article on Elvira. Again, posters. Oh, David Gale. Talking about doing the Reanimator. Oh, the Video Watchdog by Tim Lucas. So that's the little, that's the column that he did before he started up his fanzine. Bruce Campbell. That's from Evil Dead, but it's actually about that movie Mind Warp. So, another issue, Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, no! Quigley again. Quigley again. Okay, I did say she was everyone's favorite Scream Queen, but boy, she's there a lot. That's it. 2 pages. One of which is nothing but pictures. Skip Inspector, Get Killed. That's from Skip Inspector, the splatter guys. Were in Nightbreed. So, another issue of Gore Zone. Pet Cemetery. Chas, our deep red friend. Trying to insult people, it says. Okay. Again, all the posters. I never took the posters out. I'm not going to bother now. Maybe if somebody talks real nice, I'll pull them out and show them on another video. And then these, here's some issues of Cinefantastic. This, Paul Blasdale, the makeup man on a lot of 50s and 60s horror films. You know, he designed some iconic monsters. Hollywood's Forgotten Monster Maker. I think he went into the 60s. I don't think it was, it just says 50s. I'm pretty sure he lasted longer than one or two of his movies. At least had to be in the 60s. You know, Beast with a Million Eyes, which only has two. I won't bother explaining. These are, it Conquered the World, the She Creature. I mean, look, don't tell me you don't remember these monsters. Look at that. And then his space creatures. Great stuff. So much fun. The Terror from Beyond Space. And it's famous. It's kind of famous because it has what looks like its tongue sticking out of its mouth the whole time. And it's really because the mask did not fit Ray Corrigan, and so they painted his chin, which stuck out of the mask. They painted it to look like a tongue. So that is a fantastic. I love that movie as a kid. It used to play on TV quite a bit. All those films. When I was a kid, those were the films, you know, that were playing all the time. The Abyss, some animation stuff, Star Quest, Carnival, an article on Carnival Souls. This is actually a great issue. Return to Oz, which is a really weird movie. I mean, I don't ever really watch it. Day of the Dead, Dream Child. I remember this, but I never revisit it. The Terminator, the filming of last year's science fiction blockbuster, and then Life Force is in this issue. And Life Force is one of my favorite goofy, over-the-top. There's no, the kind of behind-the-scenes stuff you would have liked to have read, like just how much cocaine was used during the making of this film. That's not addressed. But I love it. It's really not, they could have done better by Matilda May. Black Cauldron, The Stuff. Wow, what a great time period for this. The Bride, I don't really remember The Bride very well. I must not have thought very much of it. There's Day of the Dead, of course, which I do love. Cocoon, I don't. There's a Return to Oz, which is the Henson group, Jim Henson's people made. A lot of fun. No, Jim Henson did this one. That's right. This one was, who was this? Who made this one? It was another big, Will Vinton did this? He didn't do all this. I think he did this part at the end of the film. And there's the Henson one, is the Dream Child, which is, again, another weird one. There's the making of the Terminator. Nightmare on Elm Street. Adventures of Baron Munchausen, and then a Terminator 2. And like I said, most of this box was taken up with Fangoria. I'll just point out that here's Fangoria number 21, which was about Rob Bottin and making the effects for the thing. Also had The Sword and the Sorcerer. And then here's issue 25 with Videodrome. So anyway, all right. Well, that's just a little part of that. What was in that box. Now that video is probably way too long. Probably nobody's going to watch this thing. Oh well, it's done. What's done is done.